Hey guys, what's up? It's ET13 and welcome back to another video. Today we are doing my movie review of the movie Glass, starring Samuel L. Jackson from basically any movie ever. Again, we will cut it down into 4 separate parts, starting with the acting and cast of the movie. Then we will talk about the writing and script, and after that we will talk about the special effects, and to finally shatter this review of this movie, we will end on the cinematography. And as a bonus today, I will rate the 3 movies of this series, which is of course Unbreakable, Split, and now Glass. And as always, I will give you my critics review of the movie and my audience review of the movie. Now, please note, this will have spoilers in it, so I would recommend watching the movie first, and then listening to my review. Anyway, on with the review.
First name, Mr. Last name, Glass.
Okay, we're starting this off with a really good part, the acting and the cast. The casting of this movie was phenomenal. Really, everybody in this movie did a great job, and I could not find a single thing wrong with the casting choices for this movie. To start off, we'll talk about Bruce Willis. Did a great job. Lately, he's just been there to get a paycheck and leave, but here he came back, and he came back in full force, ready to go, ready to beat some beast's butt. And anyway, on to Sammy. Samuel Jackson did great, as always. He truly is an acting gem. And for a person that literally sat in a wheelchair the whole movie, he did a great job. Really liked his character. You really hated him because he was the true villain. And then on to the best part of this movie, James McAvoy. Oh my. His acting skills are amazing. I don't know how he does it, but the way he changed from one to another in The Horde was phenomenal. Really great job. He is definitely one of the best actors in the past decade or so. But really, the main characters of this movie were great, and the acting was great. Shyamalan really picked good people for the casting of this movie. Speaking of the cast members, we can't forget the supporting cast members of this movie. So we're going to start off with Casey. Great job for a young actress. She's doing great, and I can't wait to see her in more. And on to Joseph Dunn, which I was really shocked to see that actor came back 20 years ago from Unbreakable to be in Glass, and it really showed the connection between Bruce Willis and this actor because they had already acted together as father and son. And another thing, these 2 actors have already got chemistry, so this just added on to the chemistry they already had in Unbreakable. And I will get into the other characters, but I just wanted to say how much I hated Dr. Staple. Not in a bad hate, like a bad quality, a good hate. The way they showed her character made you hope that David Dunn or the Beast would punch her in her face and kill her. Now, sadly, they didn't do that. It's sad, the ending, and I'll get to the ending later, but really and honestly, this character, she did great to make you hate her. And I really do not have any problems with that, because I really like it when there's a character you just can't wait to die, don't die, but you still hate them and are waiting for their plans to be demolished, which they did at the end of Glass, and I was super happy to see that. On to the other side characters, Elijah's mother. Though she seemed a little, I don't know why, a very religious person, because I believe Elijah's mother was. I couldn't believe that she was so agreeing with what her son was talking about. That could have just been me, but that did seem a little confusing for her story. And then to just say it's Daryl. Daryl was one of the workers in the insane asylum, and I really liked him. He really showed compassion for the people. And it broke my heart to see Mr. Glass cut his throat. That was very sad because he was there for them. He wasn't there to treat them wrong. He wanted to be the best person he could be for them. And of course, Shyamalan's infamous cameo, Jay. I liked it because it was a callback to what happened in Unbreakable, and I believe this confirms that his character in all three movies was the same person. So that's another cool way they were all connected. But for the overall acting and cast of this movie, I have to give it a straight up 5 stars. Great acting, great cast. Really couldn't ask for much better than what we got. So, 5 stars.
First name, Mr. Last name, Glass.
And here we are on my writing and script part of this review. Now, of course, the script was good considering who wrote it, and of course, that was M. Night Shyamalan, which really and truly does a great job with all of his scripts. I've never hated one script he's done. Now, granted, I haven't seen all of his movies, but for what he has done, I really liked it. So, it already has a good review there. Now, of course, like I said, it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie, so at the end there's a huge twist, and I hated that. Now, we'll get to that later when I talk about the cinematography and the story part of the movie, but that's all I'm going to say for right now. The script was very good. It wasn't a funny, regular, average superhero movie. This was more of a darker tone superhero movie, and it really changed the formula for superhero movies, unlike all the DC and Marvel movies being made right now. So, I give it props for being unique and being different. I give this out of 5 stars, 4.5.
First name, Mr. Last name, Glass.
Now, on with what little special effects this movie had. So, like I said, this movie doesn't have the spectacles that a DC or a Marvel movie has, but it does work for this story and this movie. For what M. Night Shyamalan has established in this universe, it works perfectly. This universe is a very down-to-earth universe where superheroes are basically regular people, except they have a slight advantage to themselves and people do. But for what special effects they had, which was mostly practical and very little CGI, because they kept it pretty down low on the big grand moments. But it was a really great special effects. I give this 5 out of 5 stars.
First name, Mr. Last name, Glass.
And now here's the last part of the main review, the cinematography and the story. So let's start off with the cinematography. Now, the lighting in this movie was great, just like how Split's lighting was dark and dim, yet it highlighted the parts you needed to see. Really good in that part of this movie. It really showed the dark, dingy real world, while showing the science fiction elements of the 3 superheroes, quote unquote, I guess you could call them. But the way the lighting worked helped the story out. It was dark, it was kinda gory-ish, like how Split or the Horde's character is. And whenever it was David Dunn, it was a little bit brighter for him to be kind of the hero of our story. And then on to camera angles. The camera angles were really good. It really showed when the Horde was over Mr. Glass getting ready to kill him. It showed the Horde looking down at him, showing how much superior the Horde was to Mr. Glass. And it really showed how when one character was better than the other, I guess you could say that, it showed them looking higher up on them than the other person. They were higher up on the screen, and the camera angles were more towards them, while The weaker characters, or the ones less important, were kind of put off to the back while you were focusing on who they really wanted you to focus on. Now, let's get to the part that is going to ruin this review. I know you're thinking, man, this guy really likes Glass. He's given it all 4 and 5 stars. This is where my review goes downhill. The story. I am going to admit, the first third of the movie is unbreakable, and yes, I'm using the movie puns, but it was unbreakable. It was very sturdy, very good. While sitting in that theater watching this movie, I thought, man, when I review this movie, it's going to have a great review because I love this. It's going really good. Just love it. Everything about it was good. And then came the second part, which was split between good and bad. It wasn't as good as the first part. It had started to lose its running speed, I guess you could call it. It started to slow down and really bog down this movie into what happens in the third act. And then, like I said, in the third act it bogged down. What happened was, basically, all this story development that had built up for all these characters in 2 movies was torn down and ruined because they killed him. And that's where this review will go straight down. I hated that ending. Now, I understand it's Shyamalan's twist ending, but that was not the way to go with these characters. The problem with that ending is you already started building up David Dunn and Mr. Glass in Unbreakable. And then Split, he built up the Hortz character and then added just a little bit to David Dunn's character. And then this is supposed to be a Glass movie. So it should have built up Mr. Glass more and then had a huge crossover in which they could have died there. They each had their own movie and explained more of them. That was another thing, was the story did not dwell on Mr. Glass enough. He wasn't in the movie a whole lot. Now, like I said, in the scenes he was in, he took the scene away, but he was not in it enough to be called a Glass movie. It was more of a Split movie than a Glass movie or a Unbreakable movie. But if I was the director of Glass, I would have, the mid part, the second third, I honestly don't think you could have done much more. But I would have at least changed the ending to where each character lived, and then they would have one more movie in this trilogy to make it a quadrilogy, and to tie it up in a nice little bow and end the series. That's probably would have been best for this franchise. But the best part of the third part was the comic book references. By the end of the movie, you started to see how this was a comic book, especially how they put hints in, and then David's son walked up to the Horde and said, wait, he's not telling you the whole story. And then you realize Mr. Glass is kind of like the mad scientist that created both of these characters, in which the Horde ended up killing him. So that I did like. That felt good, and I liked how they even referenced that it was a straight up comic book moment in the movie. Now, I do have to say, I was shocked when I saw that David and Kevin's father was on the same train. Though about 5 seconds prior to them telling you that, I realized that I'm like, oh, that's how they can link them too. So I did like how that went over. But because of them killing off the characters and everything else that kinda was broken and shattered in the middle, in the end, from such a great beginning, I will sadly have to give this a 1.5 star, because it really ruined the movie for me. Like I said, the beginning half, oh my god, I was ready to give it a great review. By the end, I'm like, you know what? I have to give it a bad review. I did not like that ending. So, 1.5 stars. And as I promised, here will be my bonus part, which will start off with the 3 movies in this universe. I will rate those, and then I'll give you my critics review and my audience review of this movie. So stay tuned.
First name, Mr. Last name, Glass.
For this bonus, we're going to start off with my favorite of the trilogy and the first in the trilogy, Unbreakable. This movie was really good in my opinion. It really set the tone for a pre-Marvel age superhero movie. The tone was great, the story was great, the action was great, the special effects were great. Really an amazing movie. I really cannot find anything wrong with it. I loved the ending. It really was a shocker for the first time you saw it, though I do have to say it was a very anticlimactic ending, but you can look past that and you realize that it was such a good movie. And I really don't regret them not having a huge climactic ending. And I find it funny that this is the first, so it was the oldest, and it had the worst special effects. I guess some people could say that, but it is the best. It really stands the test of time. In Glass, they showed a shot straight from Unbreakable, and it's hard to tell Glass from Unbreakable. It really did not age at all, and I think that's an amazing thing for this movie to have done. So I would definitely give this the #1 spot in the Unbreakable trilogy. And moving on to the second installment in the Unbreakable trilogy, Split, starring James McAvoy. As I already stated later, James McAvoy was amazing in Glass, and he was no blow but amazing in Split. Really, in Split, he showed his talents as an actor. I don't know anybody else that could pull off what he did, switching from one person to another just like that. Really great job, and I cannot say how much I enjoyed this movie. It was a thriller, it was a very good thriller, and it had a great story. And I like how you didn't realize that it was a Unbreakable sequel until the very end, and then when you rewatch the movie, you see, oh my, it basically pointed out Unbreakable right there. So, it was really interesting how you didn't realize it was an Unbreakable sequel until that very end moment, and then you're like, well, there you go. Now you can see all those little puzzle pieces together to make this a Unbreakable sequel. Truly an amazing movie, but it is my second favorite in the trilogy, and I'm just going to say it now because there's only one more. This trilogy slowly went down. Unbreakable was great. Split was good. Glass was bad. Now, granted, like I said, this is all my opinion, but that is how I feel about Split, and we will end up on a quick summary of Glass. So this is going to be my critics review of the movie Glass. So as you heard, I really liked the beginning. The middle was iffy, and the end was horrible in my opinion. And I liked the script, I liked the cinematography, I liked the special effects. Really, it's a good movie. But if it wasn't for that third act and that second act, it wouldn't be getting as such of a low score as I'm going to give it. And I really wish, had it not been for that it would have been a lot higher. So, my amount of stars out of 5 I give Glass, as my critics review is 2.5 stars out of 5. However, as I like to do, I will give Glass a good review looking at it as an audience member. Because with an audience member, you don't look at all the quality and quantity details. So, as an audience member, I really like this movie. The ending makes perfect sense. I really liked it. I thought it was a great choice. Really, there was nothing wrong with the movie. I loved everything about it. It truly was an amazing movie. So far, it's my best of 2019, but considering it's my only one, it may not be up there come March, April, and May, but I really like this movie, and out of 5 popcorn bags, I give it a solid 4.5 popcorn bags. And that there will end my review of 2019's movie, Glass. What did you think of my review? Comment down below what you thought of the movie and what you would give it out of 5 popcorn bags. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't let King Kong make a monkey out of you, G fans. See ya.